To our PIs right now, we do have some evidence that Kim Porter may have been poisoned and murdered.
The conversation regarding Kim Porter continues. More discussion over her death and the accusation that there wasn't a proper investigation. We're going to catch you up to speed on this aspect of the Sean Combs story and bring back on forensic death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan.
The instant public sentiment begins to pivot. Everything surrounding a prominent figure can begin transforming in real time. A reputation that once appeared invincible, shielded by decades of triumph, authority, and societal respect, suddenly finds itself under rigorous examination. Not due to a single headline, not due to a single claim, but because inquiries start arising from sources people never anticipated. The focus intensifies. The dialogues become louder, and the public begins observing everything through a different lens. What once seemed permanent and undisputed now feels precarious. Individuals begin questioning whether there is more to the account than they initially assumed. And once that sequence begins, it becomes nearly impossible to halt.
Diddy Combs on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. There is this renewed interest in all aspects of his life, all the people in his life. And that includes, of course, Kim Porter, Combs' ex-girlfriend, who tragically died in her Los Angeles home back in November of 2018. Officers reportedly found the 47-year-old unresponsive. She was pronounced dead. Now, initially, an autopsy was performed on Porter the next day, and according to the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office, the cause of death was deferred pending additional tests. But then you fast forward to January 2019, and the office then concludes that she died of lobar pneumonia. So the manner of death was listed as natural as opposed to something like homicide. And she'd apparently gone into cardiac arrest. Now, it was reported that she had been battling flu-like symptoms in the days leading up to her death, that there were water bottles, sports drinks, Pedialyte. They were found in her bedroom. Days after her death, Sean Combs commented publicly about Porter's death, writing on Instagram, "For the last 3 days, I've been trying to wake up out of this nightmare, but I haven't. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, baby. I miss you so much. Today, I'm going to pay tribute to you. I'm going to try and find the words to explain our unexplainable relationship. We were more than best friends. We were more than soulmates. We were some other S. And I miss you so much. Super Black Love." Combs would reportedly tell Essence magazine the following year, "One night I was checking on her and she was like, 'Puffy, take care of my babies.' She actually said that to me before she died." Now, he's talked about Porter a lot over the years. For example, in 2023, Combs claimed that Porter was the inspiration behind his Love album, Off the Grid. He even dedicated a song to her. Now, despite all of this, there have been rumors. There have been unsubstantiated rumors about Kim Porter's death, about what actually happened. And remember, this is a couple that first started dating in the 90s. They had an on-again, off-again relationship. They went through a custody battle over Christian, the son that they had together. They reconciled. They have twin daughters together, Delilah Starr, Jesse James. Combs reportedly cheated on Porter, though. They broke up in 2007, but by all accounts, Porter and Combs seemed to remain close, to be on good terms as parents until her death. And by the way, a little side note, Porter was actually mentioned relatively recently in one of the sexual assault lawsuits that was filed against Sean Combs. This concerned April Lampros, and she claimed that one night in 1996, Combs had forced her and Porter to take ecstasy and have sex with each other as Combs watched and touched himself. And she said afterwards that Combs even invited her to Porter's birthday party. Now, Lampros would also allege that Porter got angry and was resentful of her and helped get her fired from the bar where Lampros was working. So it was really interesting to hear that. But like I said, there have been theories popping up, particularly on Reddit, about Porter's real cause of death, about whether or not she was killed. And one of those people who seems to believe that there is more to the story is Albie Shore. This is Porter's ex. His real name is Albert Joseph Brown. They shared a son together named Quincy. Well, after Combs' arrest on federal sex crimes charges, Brown posted on Instagram, "In a nutshell, Kimberly was allegedly taken from us because she was set on course to accomplish what Mrs. Cassie Ventura did by igniting the bonfire which brings us here today." Ventura, of course, is Combs' ex-girlfriend who filed that initial sexual assault, sex trafficking lawsuit against Sean Combs last year. It spiraled into multiple other lawsuits and arguably spiraled into these charges that he's now facing today. And Brown wrote, "I'm writing this post to formally request an investigation into an entire group of individuals who worked..."
For months, rumors have continued to circulate across social networks, podcasts, discussions, and entertainment news outlets. Every fresh remark appears to trigger another wave of debate. Every appearance becomes a subject for evaluation. Every utterance is searched for concealed significance. What makes events like this so influential is not necessarily what is being voiced, but how audiences respond to it. Viewers start linking previous moments to current conversations. Incidents that once seemed trivial suddenly appear distinct when analyzed through a fresh perspective. Whether those conclusions are valid or not, the effect on public sentiment is undeniable. As the spotlight intensifies, focus often moves toward family members and individuals closest to the situation. Their responses, their quietness, and even their minor public actions become primary talking points. Advocates look for evidence of allegiance. Critics look for evidence of validation. Meanwhile, those trapped in the middle encounter massive pressure from every side. Every choice becomes complicated because anything they communicate can be decoded in numerous different ways. The consequence is a climate filled with stress, doubt, and constant conjecture.
Residence of Miss Kimberly Porter, and he called her death a tragic murder. Now, interestingly, there are reports that Al B. Shore has even taken more security measures after asking for an investigation. In fact, he was presented an award at the American Liver Foundation's National Legacy Gala in New York, and in his speech, he says, "We even have Homeland Security in the building. Detective Jackson, good to see you." Not entirely sure what he's talking about, what he's referencing, but considering it was Homeland Security that raided Sean Combs' properties in LA and Miami and collected all that evidence that federal prosecutors are now using in their criminal case against him, interesting comment to make. Now, Gene Deal, this is Combs' former bodyguard, spoke on the Art of Deal podcast about this, and he said, "You gotta realize, man, Kim's death wasn't even investigated." He went on to say, "How is it that there was no electronic products or gadgets around Kim? Be her laptop missing, her cell phone's missing, everything is missing, that she could get in touch with her little girls if they're not at home, or her friends or family. All that's missing. How is it that? All that's missing. How is it that?" The detectives didn't even examine Porter's body where she passed away. And Deal emphasized, if that is true, that case needs to be reopened. And also in regards to the idea that she got a massage right before her death, he also said, who gives somebody a massage when they get pneumonia? Deal also apparently took issue with the alleged timing of buying her gold casket. He said, how you order a gold casket 2 months before somebody dies? And he even addressed Al B. Shore beefing up his security. Al ain't no fool. He's smart by getting extra security. Now, with all of this as a backdrop, the last time we talked about Kim Porter on Sidebar is when a book was published on Amazon. It was entitled Kim's Lost Words, A Journey for Justice from the Other Side. It is allegedly a memoir from Kim Porter herself detailing her relationship with Sean Combs, but it reportedly contains typos, shocking claims, some are saying even inaccurate statements. In fact, Quincy Brown, Christian, Jesse Delilah Combs, they wrote in a joint statement on Instagram, "We have seen so many hurtful and false rumors circulating about our parents, Kim Porter and Sean Combs' relationship, as well as about our mom's tragic passing, that we feel the need to speak out. Claims that our mom wrote a book are simply untrue. She did not. And anyone claiming to have a manuscript is misrepresenting themselves." And by the way, even Combs authorized his attorney Erica Wolf to release a statement on his behalf regarding the new book, stating, "The Kim Porter memoir is fake. It is also offensive, a shameless attempt to profit from tragedy. Chris Todd has no respect for Miss Porter or her family, who deserve better. Unlike the fabrications in his sickening memoir, it is an established fact that Miss Porter died of natural causes. May she rest in peace." Now, Be Sure reportedly sent a cease and desist letter to Amazon as well. And Chris Todd, by the way, he's the author. And when we say memoir, we have to be clear here. There's no information verifying that Porter actually authored these writings or authorized a book to be written by her or anybody else at any point. And even the author really couldn't confirm whether these are actually Porter's words or not, but he seems to believe it's true. claiming that Porter created the information herself on a flash drive, which Todd says she gave to her friends prior to her death. Again, her family, loved ones deny this, but either way, interesting to think about. And I sat down with Chris Todd to talk about this, and this is some of what he had to say.
Through our PIs right now, we do have some evidence that Kim Porter may have been poisoned and murdered. We need to listen to the people that are online, even.
The further the dialogue goes, the more individuals begin re-examining the past. Former interviews reappear. Saved videos start circulating once more. Remarks that were once disregarded suddenly draw millions of views. Entire groups commit themselves to studying details that previously gained little notice. Some individuals believe these instances disclose vital context. Others claim that they are being interpreted completely out of proportion. But regardless of which position people take, the debate keeps expanding. The account stretches beyond the initial subject and transforms into something far larger than anyone originally anticipated.
Sleuths, the bloggers, a lot of information comes out from this kind of community. And there's talk of toxins being in her system at first. It was called deferred at first, then it was changed. It's disturbing. It's dark, it's sad. This is an abused woman telling her story. When I first read the whole thing, I only had a couple pages at first. Now, as for the tapes, I've been told that I can have access to the tapes.
What are the tapes? First, start there. What tapes are you talking about?
The big ones.
You're talking about sex tapes.
Yeah, but with very famous people.
Okay, so talk to us about what you were told about the tapes.
That if I pass the test, they trust me, I will be the one to do it.
Who's they?
The sources and the people around the community of Kim and Diddy.
And I should tell you that after our interview, Amazon responded to all of this blowback by removing Chris Todd's book from its store. So with all of that in mind, let's revisit this, shall we? I want to bring in forensic death investigator from Jacksonville State University, Joseph Scott Morgan, host of the Body Bags podcast. I encourage everybody to check it out. Who doesn't want to hear the soothing voice of Joseph Scott Morgan for a prolonged period of time? And by the way, we're very lucky because Joseph told us that this is the first recording he is doing from his new studio. And gosh, Joseph, you look phenomenal.
Oh, well, thank you, Jesse. It's good to hear that from you. A person so stylish as yourself and with the world's best hair, of course.
Well, that's very kind
unlike
of you.
mine that is graying and not thinning, but it's gray nonetheless.
It looks
Thanks
good.
for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Well, thank you. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
So listen, I'm happy to have you on. We had you on months ago talking about this. There have been these kind of interesting developments since we last spoke. First, if you could just tell us, again, let's set the stage. Do you have any reason to believe that Kim Porter did not die of lobar pneumonia, and whether Porter could have been poisoned in a way to mimic those symptoms?
Wow, that's a very highly sophisticated premise. I think putting out that she could have been poisoned in some way, certainly something that would be undetectable. What I can tell you is that there was quite a bit of pathology with her autopsy. And, you know, you'd mentioned just a moment ago that she had died of lobar pneumonia. For folks that don't know, just a brief little primer here. Our lungs are comprised of lobes, okay? So hence lobar pneumonia. The right lung has 3 lobes. The left lung has 2, all right? And the reason you have 2 is on the left is because the heart takes up the space. It kind of overlies the lung on that side. Now, her lungs, just so that I have the numbers right, to give you an idea of what we're dealing with here, her lungs were 850 grams for the left. That's the one with only 2 lobes. And then the right lung was 900 grams. Now, that might not mean much to most of the listening public, but I can tell you this. For a woman in particular, alarm bells kind of go off if you get anything.
Out of view, Public relations experts, consultants, and industry veterans often find themselves managing obstacles that become tougher to regulate with every passing day. Once a narrative reaches a specific level of mass attention, handling the reaction becomes almost as vital as addressing the narrative itself. Every announcement is carefully weighed. Every reply is calculated. Yet, even the most meticulously drafted plan can struggle against the velocity of modern social media, where perspectives travel faster than truths and conjecture often occupies the spaces left by doubt.
Up in the upper 400 range, we're talking about the weight of these lungs is desperately heavy. And not only that, but when the lungs were dissected at autopsy, they had this kind of purulent fluid that came out, and it's just kind of a polite way of saying pus. She had an ongoing infection. Now, I've investigated a lot of deaths over the course of my career in New Orleans and Atlanta, and I have yet to work a case where someone was able to introduce an agent into someone's system that wound up causing a pneumonia and leading to their death. However, I think one of my biggest questions is, because this is not something that just happened overnight, Jesse. This is a prolonged event. You had a physician, a house call physician, and that's the way they're termed apparently, that was coming out to administer treatment to Miss Porter. How in the world this could have been missed, I have no idea. I have had people that are suffering from medical conditions that are in and of themselves lethal, if particularly pneumonia. Pneumonia is very dangerous, and left to go untreated. And when I say untreated, she was given like a Z-Pack, which is kind of a broad spectrum antibiotic, which a lot of people receive. They give her an IV that is kind of vitamin infused, lots of fluid bottles, they said, trying to do electrolyte replacement. But once you get this kind of bacterial infection that's going on, and you get to the point where your lungs are this heavy and you're producing pus at this point in time, I think my big question is, was this neglect? Because, this kind of passive thing that's going on, I don't see anything at this point in time that would indicate that she had some kind of trauma. And if somebody has an indication here, and I'm speaking to those individuals that are insinuating that she was in some way poisoned, my advice is get in contact with the authorities. Let them know this information if you are truly invested in the case relative to solving it. Because you can say all kinds of things, but if you have hard scientific evidence that this occurred, then let us know. I also take exception to this idea that's being thrown out there, Jesse, that her death was not investigated. Now, you mentioned electronic devices, and that's all fine and good. But when you say her death was not investigated, what precisely is meant by that statement? Because I got to tell you, there are a lot of people out there, cases that happen every single day, Jesse, that the medical examiner never puts their hands on those remains. They're never autopsied. They're probably cases, in the best set of circumstances, it'd be preferable to do an autopsy. She had an autopsy performed, a thorough autopsy. Now, I can't speak to how thoroughly her tissues were examined afterwards, but she had a lot of stuff going on with her systemically that would give you an indication that she had some serious problems going on. And just let me throw this out there to you as well. Her system was not, her metabolism was not working within normal.
What makes circumstances like these so noteworthy is that they seldom conclude rapidly. Instead, they develop over time. Fresh discoveries emerge. New viewpoints enter the dialogue. Public sentiment fluctuates again and again as people keep looking for clarity. Some inquiries eventually receive explanations. Others stay unsettled. But one thing is typically certain. Once public sentiment shifts on this magnitude, it seldom returns to exactly where it was previously. The debate continues. The investigation remains, and everyone observes intently.